Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but not good night. The intention of this video is to introduce you to the first certificate reading exam and explain briefly what they consist of. As I always do, the best way to show how to deal with them is by a real exam provided in Cambridge's official website. Remember, it's a brief introduction of each one of them. So if you are a beginner and it's the first time you are seeing them, this video is for you. And I will also include my first advice in each part. But if you are more advanced, then you need the ones that have a deeper reasoning and understanding, including examples and tricks provided in other videos. I will make reference to Part 5, Multiple Choice, Part 6, Gapped Text, and Part 7, Multiple Matching. From my point of view, the biggest challenge in the reading exam is that it's got to be done really quick, as we have a limited time. So, if you are a beginner, don't worry about the timing. You only time yourself when you make a certain amount of mistakes. Let's begin part 5, multiple choice. Let's go to the introduction because all the information needed to know what it consists of is pointed out there. For questions 31 to 36, choose the answer A, B, C, or D, which you think fits best according to the text. As you see, it's the typical multiple choice exercise that I'm sure you have already done. From 31 to 36. So there are 6 exercises, 12 marks in total, as each exercise marks 2. My first advice is, after reading the introduction, don't read the text, but you go directly to the questions. You underline the key words, or in other words, the information that you have to look for in the text, and only then do we begin to read. For more detailed information and further understanding, go to Introduction Reading Part 5, Multiple Choice. Part 6, Gapped Text. Let's go to the introduction. 6 sentences have been removed from the article. Choose from the sentences A to G the one which fits each gap, from 37 to 42. There is one extra sentence which you do not need to use. There is one extra sentence because they give you 7 sentences from A to G. And 6 of them have been removed from the main text. What they want you to do is to replace them in its correct place in the article in order for it to become whole again. So you have to place those sentences in the gap from 37 to 42. As before, there are 6 exercises, and each exercise marks 2. My advice again would be, after reading the introduction, don't go directly to read the text, but go to the sentences. Underline the key words and main ideas that are going to connect to the surrounding text of each gap, which must have grammatical and semantical connection. For further information, go to Introduction Reading, Part 6, Gapped Text. Part 7, the last reading, which consists of a multiple matching. Let's go to the introduction. For questions 43 to 52, choose from the sections A to D The sections may be chosen more than once. Questions that they make reference to are the following. Each question provides certain information about something. For example, exercise 43, it's his early difficulties. And what they want you to do is, in what section of the main text is it mentioned? I know. There's no need to tell me. The first time students see this kind of text, there is a tendency to think that it's very complicated, but it's usually because they have never seen an exercise of this type. However, once you know the steps to do it in an organized way, it becomes less complicated than it seems at first. And the vocabulary and the terminology used is simpler than in other parts of the reading. So, in order to carry out correctly this exercise, it's all techniques. My first advice again would be, after reading the introduction, don't directly read the text, but go to the questions. Underline the main information of each one of them, and only then do you begin to read the different sections. Now, do you remember that in the previous parts there were 2 marks for each exercise? Well, this one is each exercise 1 mark. So, in total, this part marks 10. For further information, go to Introduction, Reading, Part 7, Multiple Matching, where I include the most important techniques in order to carry it out in an organized and correct way. Now you know what the first certificate reading exam consists of. Remember, in the 3 of them, after reading the introduction, you go directly to the questions, you analyze the questions, and only then do you go to the main text. And so we save time and we don't waste it. And as I always say, is theory important? Of course it is. But practice is essential in order to make all the mistakes practicing, to not make them during the official exam. Bye bye.